Twitter just changed. Okay. Need to remove Twitter. All right. We are going to get started here in just 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall 2 steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven? How do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have a fantastic show lined up for you because the amazing, the one, the only, Divya Ramachandran is on with us tonight, and I cannot wait to introduce you to this young, brilliant woman who has pivoted from a corporate life into an entrepreneurial life. And it's really interesting how she's gone about that transition and what she continues to do to make strides in her business. And I can't wait for you to hear from her and learn what strategies she has implemented that have helped her to improve her business every step of the way. And look, if you're a grizzled veteran and you've been doing business for 30 years, or you're just starting out, or you're somewhere in between, one thing that remains consistent and constant with successful entrepreneurs, and that is we are always looking for ways to improve. We are always looking for ways to excel, take that next step and scale our business even farther. And that is what this show is all about. So for you, the viewer, it doesn't matter where you are in your walk or your journey with entrepreneurship. It doesn't matter if you're just beginning. Maybe you don't even have a business yet. I guarantee you, if you watch this show from beginning to end, because of Divya, you are going to learn actionable strategies and things that you can put into process right now and take your business to yet another level, a higher level. Doesn't mean you're going to jump all the way to the top, but every little step along the way matters because they build on each other. So this is the Mind, Body, Business Show, and I am your host, Brian Kelly, and this show was developed for you. That is the entrepreneur, the budding business individual who is looking to take their business to the next level, and it's based on what I call the 3 pillars of success, and they are part of the very namesake of this show, and that is, yeah, you guessed it, mind, body, and business. So mind stands for mindset, and I learned this now almost 13 years ago, how important the mind is in anyone's success and everyone's success. I did not realize how important until that time ago. And it's all about individuals who I had studied over a period of, say, about 10 years. They were just successful people. That's all I focused on, only successful people. And what I found out is that to a person, each of them carried these 3 characteristics. Mindset, they each had a very powerful, positive, and most importantly, flexible mindset. And body is that they literally took care of themselves, both physically and nutritionally. And business. Now, business is very multifaceted. It covers basically the mastering of various skill sets that are necessary to develop a successful business and then to keep it scaling, thriving, and growing. Skill sets like marketing, sales, team building, systematizing, leadership. I could go on and on and on. Yeah, there's a lot. And you know what? Being an astute individual as you are, you know that mastering any one area of any part of our life can take a long time. What was it? There's so many 20, 30, 10,000 hours to master, to become an expert in any one thing. Mastering a skill set's the same thing, be an expert. So the good news is you personally don't have to master every skill set that's necessary yourself, by yourself. And there is one skill set that if you were to focus on it, and if you were to develop it, And if you were to even take yourself on the path toward mastery, you don't even have to achieve it yet. You can use that skill set to then spread out, to delegate into the others and pull people in who have already mastered or on their way to mastering those skill sets that you have yet to master or may never master, just based on the time we have available on this earth. And if you want to know what that one skill set is, I'll let you know what that is. And you're going to love this, because the guest we have tonight, Divya Ramachandran, is an expert in this area. If you just master this one skill set, the skill set of, oh, and it was one of them I just mentioned, and there are many more beyond what I just mentioned. I know I'm teasing, huh? Just get to it already, Brian. What is that one skill set? It is the skill set of leadership. That's right. Even if you are a solopreneur, which I was not too long ago myself, and if you're a solopreneur, that's okay. Now lead yourself. And there are books written on this. Treat yourself as if you are one of your own team members. Get in the practice of, well, how would I react to that form of leadership, and all of things that go with it. And Divya is going to be divulging some amazing skills that you can learn and wrap yourself around during this very show. This is going to be a huge show. So I implore upon you to take notes, pay attention, and focus, especially when Divya comes on, which is going to be in just a few moments. And another additional great trait I noticed of these very successful people was that, to a person, they were also very avid readers of books. And so with that, we're going to switch over to a very short segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, there you see reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And just a very quick aside, if I may, this is for you. What I always tell folks is, now you're going to be learning about a lot of resources on this show. Divya will have some. She'll have a gift to give to you later on in the show. You see this one, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Now, what I implore upon you is that instead of succumbing to that desire to go click off on another tab and do the research while this show is running, while you're watching it live, which I hope you are, or while you're listening on a podcast, either one is fine. Focus on the show. The magic happens in the room, because here's the thing. When Divya comes on, she will be, like I said, divulging a great amount of strategies and tips and things that you can glean on to take and run with, and then maybe even connect with her later so that you can go deeper into the skill set of leadership, which I would highly recommend. And if you were to miss one little tidbit of information that she would divulge during the show, and it happened to be while you were off doing that research to that other tab, well, then you might have just missed the one piece of information that could have propelled your business to the next level. It's happened before. I kid you not. I've seen this happen while I've taught from stage. I've seen people get up, they got to go to the bathroom, or they have that all important text on their phone and they just have to attend to it. Like, I would implore upon you that if that happens to you, hit the pause button if you're not watching this live. And, or I would say, get a pen, get a pencil, get ready, because you're in for a great ride. All right, enough about that. I'm off my soapbox, but that is for you, not for me. So literally get out a pen and paper and take notes would be my suggestion. And that would be, write down, you can start right now by writing down reachyourpeaklibrary.com. It's a free resource. There's nothing for sale by me on it. There are books for sale from Amazon directly. And so what it is a collection of books that I personally have read. And so not every book I've ever read is in this collection. It's only those books that have had a profound impact on me, either professionally or personally, or both. Oftentimes it is both, usually, because business and personal lives have a lot of commonalities to them. And they are in here in no rhyme nor reason. So find the book that is most compelling to you, that either you haven't read or you want to read again and you don't know where your copy is. And look, if you want to get it at your local bookstore, please go do that. There's no need to get it from this website if you like to cater to another vendor, and that's fine. This is just here to give you the the ideas to say, look, there's a book. That one looks good. Big boom. That's my mentor, Mel Cutler, that's flying up there. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to mention, and I haven't even put this on the list, but I just released my own book called Mind, Body, Business. Oh, wow. Where do you think that name came from? Yes, this book actually inspired this very show. Yes, this book started over 10 years ago, and I finally finished it just a couple months ago. And this show has only been running for a little over 5 years. So this book, the idea, the concept, the name is all from this book. And so, yes, many books in there. You can click on the buy here. That takes you to Amazon. You can pick what flavor you like, which is audiobook, paperback, physical, whatever's available for each particular book. No rhyme or reason. Just scroll down and grab the first one that kind of pops off the screen for you to read your next book, because these have given me incredible results over the years. I was not an avid reader myself till around the age of 47, which was nearly almost 13 years ago. I'll pause there so you can all do the math. Yes, I'm approaching that big 6-0. It's amazing. I'm actually excited. It's like I can almost say I made it. All right, with that, we are going to bring on the amazing Divya Ramachandran right now. Let's get to it.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one. It is the only Divya Ramachandran. Ooh, yes. Welcome to the show, Divya. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, my goodness. And, as a former fellow Californian, I welcome thee. This is awesome. I still have a warm spot in my heart for California. I recently moved, loving Florida, but Californians, they're near and dear to my heart as well. So glad you're here. So we are coming across from entirely different ends of the United States together. Divya, what I'd like to do is basically introduce you in a way that is deserving of you, with respect. And it also will give people a bit of a backdrop, an idea of where your expertise lies, where you've been, to show them that you're not, this just didn't happen in a day, that you have put in the time and the effort. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, right. Divya Ramachandran, Ph.D., professional certified coach, is a distinguished leadership coach transitioning from a successful career in tech to empowering leaders at tech startups. Ooh, that's near to me, baby. I love tech. Born to South Asian immigrants in Salt Lake City, Utah, Divya navigated the complexities of identity and excellence from a young age. It gets deeper. This is good stuff. Her academic journey led her from computer engineering to a profound discovery at UC Berkeley, where she realized her passion for using technology to address human needs. This is very interesting. This epiphany, coupled with a transformative experience in executive coaching, redirected her path toward leadership coaching. I told you it's about leadership. Divya specializes in guiding tech startup leaders, leveraging her expertise in energy awareness. You don't hear this from hardly any leadership expert out there. This is cutting edge stuff from my vantage point anyway. Also, cognitive behavioral coaching and emotional intelligence. Yes, all the intangibles that so many people don't ever address. And she does all this to foster trust, connection, and effective communication within teams. Her work focuses on helping leaders achieve clarity, to resolve conflicts, and to enhance productivity. That's everything you want in a business, let alone the leader. Fundamentally believing in the power of understanding oneself to lead others effectively. That is what it's all about. That is what Divya is all about as far as business goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the amazing, the one and only Divya Ramachandran. I hope I'm doing that good every time. All right. So one of the things I love to open the show with, Divya, is around the mind. And it's a really cool one because I ask nearly every guest a similar question. And that is, being an entrepreneur, as I'm sure you are aware, is not always, rose petals and swinging in hammocks and those umbrella drinks and you're just sipping them while you're making money just hand over fist. It's everything but that. It's the opposite. It can be arduous. It can be challenging. Everything we love as entrepreneurs, but also everything we must overcome. And that's what makes us entrepreneurs. So for you, knowing those hurdles face you that are there every single day, how am I going to get my next client? What do I need to do for billing? How do I deliver the end product? What do I do? What tweaks do I make? What team do I bring in? I mean, it just never ends. And it's awesome. I love that part of it, that it never ends. But for you, when you are getting up in the morning, like when you're waking up, your eyes are opening, and that, you're starting to feel like, okay, I'm amping up. I'm almost back to, okay, now I'm back. What is going through your mind at that very moment that is keeping you driven, motivated, and determined to push through and keep going forward with your business so that you can serve more people? What is it for you?
Great question. Thank you. And thanks for that amazing introduction and all of that. So what gets me up in the morning? What's motivating me to keep doing this work? It's really the impact that I know the work can have. So it's been a journey for me to land at this profession and to decide this is what I want to do. As you said, I was in tech, I was leading a team, and I went through a lot of different challenges. As I was trying to do that, got introduced to leadership coaching and then realized, wow, this is not just something I need for me as a leader. This is something I want to be helping others with. And so when I see that I'm working with somebody and it's unlocking something for them, that they're actually like feeling freer to go and address the challenge that they have, that work is so impactful that I love my job. And so I want to keep doing that. And so I know that in order to do the work that I want to do in the way I want to do it, I've got to keep working on my business. I've got to keep putting the time, the effort, whatever it is in to grow it, to increase the impact that I'm able to have on the individuals, impact more people, impact teams, help businesses thrive. I think that it's really that impact.
And I heard the word, and I love this. I love what I get to do. I heard the word help numerous times. That is what drives this is my own humble opinion, a true entrepreneur. And that's the people I've interviewed on this show, Divya, for 5+ years. We all share that one trait, that we are here to help people. That's what motivates us. That's what brings us joy. That's why so many like you and myself left corporate to, go after that dream of helping people, because we have the ability to do that easier if we're not working for someone else, and so many other things that go with it. And kudos to you for taking on this daunting task of becoming a successful entrepreneur, because, well, anyone who's ever been down this path realizes, maybe not fully yet, but they all realize that they have quite a bit in front of them to make it all work. And it takes a lot of work, dedication, perseverance, determination, everything that goes with it. And you have all that. And so that's the beautiful thing, is you are teaching leadership, and they will be able to look at you and say, yes, I'm learning from a leader. And that's what people want. They want to learn from those who have done it, not just coached it or talked about it. And so you've been there, and in a tech environment, Divya, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I can, but it's just, all the different personalities you get in a tech environment are crazy. The nerds that can't talk very well, they have no social skills or fewer social skills. And then you have others that do nothing but talk, and they won't be quiet. And yes, and everything in between. And the thing is, they're usually pretty bright. And so that challenge is great in that field, to be a leader. And so God bless you for going through that. And I think because you did, that's what makes you such a strong person to do what you're doing, to help others, to lead, because you've been in one of the most difficult cultures, if you will, to make that happen. So what was it that made you to decide, you know what, I've had enough? I mean, we kind of mentioned it in the bio, but you were in the corporate world. Was there one thing that just kind of tipped you over the edge and said, I gotta separate from that, and I want to go do this. I want to teach leadership directly. Was there an event, an incident, or just a realization that it was time?
Yeah, I would say it was one of each of those. There was a realization at a moment when I was leading the product team. It's an AI startup. We were having a hard time. The company wasn't doing so well, which, of course, if it was doing well, I might not be in this position right now. But there were a lot of different challenges going on. And at the same time, I also have a family. I have 2 children who were much younger at the time. And so there was this sort of realization that this job was not adding value to my life. In fact, it was detracting value. It was actually creating stress that was making it so that neither was work enjoyable, but neither was the rest of my life, right? And it was creating this a lot. And I ended up working with an executive coach during that time. And
Wow.
that's when I heard about leadership as a skill, as a set of skills, as a area of expertise at all, because I had just fallen into leadership. I could do my job well and I had grown, right? Understanding that there was such a thing, and understanding that so much of leadership, as you alluded to while I was still a backstage, so much of leadership is about who you are and how you're showing up for your team. And leadership is really not about telling somebody else what to do and telling them to do it, in a strong voice. It's really about understanding yourself and bringing people along on a journey, but really understanding where they're coming from as well. So there were a lot of light bulbs that went off, what went on, I should say, while I was getting coached and going through through those sessions. I ended up leaving that job just based on this realization that I'm not living the life that I'm envisioning for myself. So I left and did just some exploration. And while I was doing that exploration, coaching just kept coming up as like, I think I need to explore this. I think I need to explore this. And so I signed up for a coach training program kind of on a whim, like, just let me explore and see what this is like. You don't have to sign up for the whole thing up front. You can just do kind of the first module, right? So I signed up for the first module. Day one, mind you, I haven't even committed to the whole program, but day one, I committed to this for life. It was so clear. It was just everything was coming together. So if there was an event that really led me to that, it was that, just sort of understanding this framework, seeing how it fit into the tech world where I had expertise, seeing how it fit in to the life I wanted to lead and to have, like, the kind of family life I wanted to have as well. Just all of those together, it just made it so clear that this was it, and I was going to go all in.
Wow, that's pretty, like, convincing that I think it was time with all those things coming at you. There was this movie some time ago called Bruce Almighty. Forgot the name of the comedian. He's incredible, but he was driving along and he had rosary beads. It's raining and he's driving in a car and he's saying, "God, just give me some kind of sign, any kind of sign." And then in front of him, you remember this, don't you? There was a
Yes.
snake bed truck with nothing but signs like stop, go back, danger ahead, all these other negative things. And he just kept saying, any kind of sign, God. And the next scene is he's wrapped around a telephone pole, or he went into one in his car. And you just were given all those signs. That's what it made me think of. Similar thing happened to me in transitioning my business. So I can relate greatly. But yours, those were stacked quite deep. That was awesome. It's almost like you can't refute it. You have to go with it.
Yeah.
But really, I would say kudos to you for taking that leap. That is not for the faint of heart. Was it a little bit scary in the beginning?
Sometimes I look back at it and I was like, why wasn't I scared? And I think sometimes you're just driven by conviction, or was I just naive? Sometimes I'm not too sure, but one or the other. And I think you have to have a little bit of both to be an entrepreneur, to just take that risk and to take that leap of faith. You have to not be fully thinking. You have to kind of be following your heart. Ooh. And that was a moment where I feel like that was my heart, that was my intuition telling me to do something. And I still have to tap back into that at times when I'm just wondering, well, is this what I should keep doing? Is this, I love the work, but is it satisfying everything for my life? And there's a lot of work that's involved here. And would it be better to be, getting a paycheck? Would the security be better? But right. There's that intuition inside that keeps saying, like, no, this is it. You keep following this.
I love how you said you have to not be fully thinking, and that is the hardest thing to do for someone analytical such as you and I, coming from that background of software engineering. I mean, you have to be to excel at that job or that position, and to kind of pull that back. That took me quite some time. I was, paralysis by analysis. You overanalyze it to death, and by the time you're finished analyzing, 10 years have gone by and you haven't done anything positive toward your business. So, I mean, you have discovered and learned many things very young in your life, and that is great. And kudos to you, and to everyone watching and listening. The sooner you do, the better for you as well. If the entrepreneur life is for you. If you're already an entrepreneur, you can probably relate to everything she has said so far. So getting into leadership itself. Now, have you ever dealt with or experienced someone who was your leader who went about things in a way that didn't feel right, that weren't 100% in alignment with the way you think a leader should treat their people? Did that ever happen to you?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, it has.
And so
Mhm.
what thoughts, taking from that, can you look at that? How important, let me ask you this. How important is it for you in your coaching, not only to know how to lead and also how not to lead? Is that equally as important when you're coaching and training your clients in leadership?
Yeah, yeah. So in the framework that I use, and this has helped me also kind of retrospectively look at my experiences and the leaders that I've worked with and the judgment that I felt towards them in the moment. Um, in the framework that I'm using and that I'm trained in, we're essentially talking about there's a lot of different styles that you can bring to your leadership, and you don't have to be stuck in one. Right. And so I want to broaden the term leadership, especially, again, you mentioned something in your intro around what leadership is. And this, it's not just about how you are with your team, right? Any situation where you're interacting with another individual and influencing in one way or the other, in one direction or the other, that's an opportunity for leadership, right? And so if you're thinking about it from that perspective, in every situation you have some choices. You have different choices about how you can approach that, how you can lead, how you can influence in that moment. And so I think that knowing what are the pros and cons of the different choices that you have and choosing the one that's most suitable for that situation is what's key. And so I look now, I could think of a specific leader that I worked with who we did not align in terms of the pace in which we operated. I tend to work really fast. Anyone who knows me knows that there's just movement all the time. I'm doing things, I'm making decisions. Let's push for this. Let's look for an answer here. Let's solve this problem. And this other leader was bringing a different approach, which was really about sometimes you need to wait. Sometimes you need to wait for things to unfold. Sometimes you need to wait to bring people along, and you can't be so, pushy about things. Sometimes you just have to be and let other people figure it out, right? And so we butted heads quite a bit in terms of I'm just like, but do it, lead, and they're leading, and so now when I look at those situations and I evaluate what that leader was like, I recognize that was just a different style, and it has its pros as well. And there was more to the story that they understood that maybe I didn't understand. And so I think just having a more holistic understanding of what it means to lead is really helpful.
Do you find that effective leaders are flexible enough to lead different people in different ways, maybe micro change different things to meet or match that person's like emotional intelligence, like was in your bio that you talked about, or their personality, or their speed at which they like to work that may not be as fast as yours? Do you find that effective leadership includes being flexible to work with individuals at different levels than the team as a whole?
Yes. And so I think that an effective leader needs to hold everyone accountable. They have to be clear about their expectations. They have to provide feedback very clearly when expectations or observations of their performance are not meeting those expectations. That is standard. That needs to continue to happen. But there also needs to be some understanding and curiosity about each individual's experience. So even just recently, I was having a conversation with a leader who was having a hard time holding somebody accountable. And their interpretation of it was they don't want to be managed. They don't want me giving them feedback. They don't want to be held accountable. And so we were talking about, well, do we understand how they want to be held accountable? It's your job to hold them accountable, but how do they want to be held accountable? You've got to understand that, yes, it's important that they meet expectations, but there is some flexibility around the way in which that happens. Is it happening through regular updates? Is it happening through meetings? Am I sending you status updates? Are you checking in with me? Like all of these sorts of things that kind of change the flavor through which you're leading.
Interesting. And I'd be interested to see what kind of techniques there are to extract what their form of what accountability looks like to them, what they react to. I had not thought about that. That's interesting. I'm thinking of my own team as you're talking, thinking, man, that would be very valuable for me to employ and to know what I mean, I've got a great team and they're doing great, but as an entrepreneur, you're always looking to improve no matter where and how, never stop. That's one thing I love about it. I want to ask you this. This is like a weird question. And I mean, as an entrepreneur, we have an endless amount of things to take care of. We are professional problem solvers. That's really what it comes down to. And, if you don't love solving problems, then this is the wrong place. I'm talking to other people, of course, not you, Divya. And I mean,
Me too.
yes, some of them are a pain in the rear. Let's get that straight. Being an entrepreneur does not mean, sunshine and rose petals, like I was saying earlier, all the way forever. It's actually quite the opposite. But the fruit, the reward at each interim goal, it makes it all worth it. And then some. And then you say, oh, let's do that again. It's like playing golf. I'll hit one good shot in the entire day. I'm like, well, I'll come back tomorrow then after a whole day of horrible play. It's funny. But anyway, with entrepreneurship, there's more at stake. You're helping people and find a responsibility in doing that. But I lost my train of thought where I was going because I went off on that whole golf tangent. But
we could just talk about golf. I'm not
yeah. Oh, yeah. I would go into a funk in that area. My last time out wasn't a good one. It's been a while now. So, but that's okay. We get back up on our horse. And so, have you ever gone through a time where things didn't go right and it felt like you failed a certain task, which I know the answer is going to be a resounding yes multiple times. But what do you, Divya, do as a leader when you notice that, that one didn't go well? Do you go through a self-examining time where you say, what could I have done differently? Do you look at, well, what could they have done differently? What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about the word failure, and this is how I treat it myself, but also with my clients, two things come up. One is that I'm a strong believer in purpose, that things happen with some purpose behind it, and that's usually some kind of a learning or an opportunity. And so in retrospect, a failure is almost always not a failure. Like there was something that came out of it. It's like, oh, that happened for a reason. I get it now, right? The other thing I think about is growth. So anything I do, any action I take, any decision I make, I could probably do it better. Like, I think there's always a potential to do everything better. So under that definition, you're kind of failing every time you act, right? There's always some potential to do something better. And so I think that's just having a mindset around our failure like that is important. It's just like, okay, I did this thing. I can still grow from it. I can still do well. So I can think about not just my failures, but also my successes that way. But also that there's always some kind of a learning or a purpose behind anything that goes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's where a lot of our learning does come from. And that was a fantastic response. And the cool thing about this whole process, Divya, of the questions I'm asking you, you have passed with flying colors on every one of them. Not that there's a pass fail, but I want folks to listen and realize out there, if you are even contemplating getting a leadership coach, Divya is hitting it all straight on perfectly in every case so far. There are so many. I mean, you look very young to me, and to know what you know by now in this stage in your life is pretty impressive. And to have experienced what you've experienced, that means you have a deep awareness, internal knowledge that this was a calling for you to dive into. It is a gift that you have to get to this stage that you are so quickly. And there was a great book that I read on this topic of, and I get this similar reaction about failure. I get this, I don't like that word. And that's good. That was another great passing grade, if you will. But there's this book by Willie Jolly, and in it, repeatedly, he says over and over, and it's wonderful. Repetition is the key to mastery, as many have known. But he would say this over and over. He would say, a setback is a setup for a comeback. Is that powerful? And
so good.
it's called the Willie Jolly Collection. And that's on reachyourpeaklibrary.com for those of you that want to go look and see it there. And I loved it. I listened to everything in Audible, and so it was his voice. I love it when the author is the one who speaks it, and it was, his energy and everything came off resoundingly well. But I'll never forget that phrase: a setback is a setup for a comeback. That epitomizes this whole concept of this word failure, which really isn't failure. But in a way it is, just for a moment though.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things we as entrepreneurs can do is not only fail, but fail fast and numerous times, because the more we do, the closer we get to not failing again and get to that level of success that we desire. I
Yeah.
grew up and I call it an analytical person from software days, and everything had to be perfect. I mean, everything had to be lined up. And if one thing fell out of place, I felt like it was a failure. And but I spent so much time trying not to fail that I never got anywhere until I learned to get that ego off of my shoulder and say, get out of here. Now it's time to fail. Have you ever noticed that? Did that ever happen to you, being that you come from a semi-similar background of being in the engineering field where you have to be somewhat analytical?
Yeah.
Was that something you overcame, or you naturally already didn't have to deal with that?
Neither. I still deal with it. It's just a constant. It's like there's nothing. I don't think anyone can fully overcome it, right? But it is that voice is constantly on my shoulder. But I think that there are just tools, like we just have to have awareness around that and recognize that's there. Like when I'm seeing that with my clients, because of course as a third party, a neutral party, you can always see when they're just holding themselves back. You just have to have this conversation around like what is the worst possible scenario here? And like sometimes we haven't even articulated it. And once you say it, you're like, okay, that's never going to happen. Or actually, that's not so bad, right? Like you just sort of realize it. But sometimes we just allow ourselves to get stuck in this narrative of like, I can't do that. I better not do that. That door is closed. And sometimes you just like, open it, see what happens. And so constantly, I'm always in this place of like, oh, I better not take that risk. I can't do this. Should I try that? And then I have to work through it. I have to work through it on my own and figure out a way to get through it.
And not only on your own, I've noticed you already said that you had a coach, you've had coaches, and that is also key to growth. I've had coaches, I've had mentors. That's the only time I do grow at the greatest levels. And when they say about being aware, that was a beautiful way of putting it, because that's the first step, is be aware that your ego is the master at that moment. And once you're aware, you can then simply, quickly flick that master off your shoulder. You are the master, and let them go flying, get them out of here. And that, they do reappear. They climb back up somehow, some way, all the time. But
always
being aware of it, that is the key. If one is in denial that it's happening, that's not going to work too well. My goodness, this is phenomenal. I'm looking at all over my notes. Oh, just so everybody knows, I was preaching everybody write notes. I'm doing it myself, so I don't ever tell people to do or recommend people to do that which I don't commit to doing myself. So that's actually, what would you think about that as a rule of leadership? Should you, as a leader, be willing to get your hands dirty on occasion with and alongside your people that you're leading, especially, let's say you have an urgent matter that has occurred, something happened, and now it's all hands on deck and we need everybody's input. What are your thoughts on having a leader joining side by side with the employees and writing that code or doing whatever their employees are doing? Is that something that you are for or against?
I love these questions, and my answer is always medium, which is maybe somewhat dissatisfying.
No, it's not.
But I think there are absolutely situations where one needs to do that. I think if we think about so as a leader, your main job is to hold other people accountable to certain results, right? And somebody's holding you accountable as well. Nobody's free from this. But when you're doing that, you kind of, if there's a problem, if it's not working and they're not being accountable, something's going on there, and you kind of need to diagnose what it is. And if it's a skill or a competence gap, that's a great place to just get your hands dirty and just say, let me help you. Let me teach you how to do this. And so I think that's like done consciously. That's a really great way for a leader to support. done from a place of, oh, they're struggling, I don't want to give them feedback, let me just go in there and do it for them, let me fix it for them. Totally not, right?
No.
But done consciously, I think there's absolutely reasons to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. The very fact that you say that means you've dealt with people that have reacted that way, and that's not even my wow. Interesting. This is
Oh.
getting better and better and better, Divya. I think this is a perfect time to now segue and talk about your particular coaching business, what it is you do. I want to pull up your website and basically give you the opportunity to let everyone know what it is you do, to whatever level of detail you're comfortable with. Also, what is your target market? What is your clientele? Is it only corporations that they inherently have leaders? Is it also small businesses that are at a point where they have a team and there is leadership involved? And what does that look like? And then the final part of the question would be, if you have a success story or two you'd like to share with everybody, I know we would love to hear that. Would that be cool if I brought up your website and just let you take it away?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Right, here we go. Go ahead.
All right. So I will, just kind of tell you a little bit about, so my work that I do with individuals and with teams is essentially to help you do hard things. And by hard things, what do I mean? I mean that you're trying to make sense of really complex or ambiguous problems, or you are trying to get other people to do hard things, right? So you're trying to influence your team, influence your manager, etc. And so there's a lot related to influence. So the goal really that I'm trying to help you and your team do are do the hard things, get stuff done, have hard conversations, and make things and move things forward. So we want to create forward progress. I work with individuals, I work with teams, I work with groups of individuals. So there's a couple of different ways in which I engage. And primarily what we do is we work one-on-one to understand what is the biggest challenge that is top of mind for you right now, and what is it that we can do about it. And so my goal is to hold space for you to find the answers and the insights yourself. When I'm working with an individual, what you're bringing to the conversation is what we follow. So we talked a little bit about energy awareness. I am following your energy to help you get to a place where you feel unlocked and ready to go and get that hard thing done. You asked me a couple of other questions.
Success story, if you have.
Success story, that's right. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened quite recently, actually, with a client who has been struggling. Actually, before that, I remember you asked me about who I work with. And so let me tell you quickly about that as well. So I don't only work with corporate, I work with individuals across the board. My specialization is within tech and tech startups, because that is my background. And so I tend to work with smaller teams and individuals with smaller teams. So entrepreneurs with a smaller team, just getting started, just trying to figure out, how do I work this whole management thing out? I'm trying to not do all the work myself. I need other people to do it, but how do I make that happen? So these are the kinds of things that I help with quite a bit. Now, as far as success stories, so I like to kind of highlight a specific individual and their inner transformation that happened. And it was just demonstrated quite recently, so I want to share that, which is they were really trying to influence a large team of their peers as well as their managers. And this was in a larger group, a larger organization. They've been struggling with this for months. It almost felt like a year plus, where they're not able to kind of get everyone on board with the vision that they had in mind, right? And so what we uncovered through several sessions was that they were really waiting for permission. They were waiting for somebody to say, this is your job, you go do it, I'll make sure everybody follows you. And it never works that way, right? Because you can't just sort of put a stake in the ground and say, okay, this is their job, they're going to do it, and everyone's going to listen. It's not going to happen, because we're talking about people, and everyone has opinions, and everyone has different ideas of how things need to go about. So what we really have worked on over the last several sessions is, how are you going to start doing things? How are you going to start driving? How are you going to be in charge, right? And so the work that has to be done for that is kind of, first of all, getting clarity on, okay, what is it? What is the plan that I have in mind? And if if I had full control, if I had full permission, what is that vision that I'd want to execute on? So get that clarity and then start having conversations where you're in control and you're saying, this is the plan that I have in mind. I'm open to your suggestions, but this is what I have in mind. And so kind of leading with what you've already decided and then waiting for others to kind of opt out if they want. But you're not waiting for them to kind of give you the permission before you go and do the work. And so these are the kinds of inner transformations that I've been working on with leaders. And I have a couple of other examples, but I'll just stick with that one for now.
I love it. And that's fantastic to hear actual bona fide stories. And it gives people an idea that, I'm just imagining how that transformation of that individual through your work, how that is going to immediately and positively impact that whole organization. And, they wouldn't have come to you unless they knew they needed help or unless someone else told them they needed your help. But in either case, it was a good job, whoever made that decision, to at least go that far. And that's what I wanted to put up upon everyone watching and listening right now. And that is, if you have any doubt or inkling, there's a little voice telling you, I wonder if I'm leading in the best way possible. That probably means that you need to get some help, some coaching and assistance. So consider reaching out to Divya, and her website, for those of you listening, a lot of you can see it on the screen. It's DivyaLalitha.com, and that happens to be, Lalitha is her middle name, as you'll see on our website when you go there. So it's DivyaLalitha.com, DivyaLalitha.com. So head on over to that website. She has ways of getting in touch with her. Email her, reach out to her. I can only imagine you're on LinkedIn, where business owners hang out. So look her up. She has a very unique name. There's no way you cannot not find her. So no excuses there. And go to DivyaLalitha.com to strike up a conversation, see if she's a fit. And you can tell just by, look at her. She's very opening, warm. She's not going to take you down to the basement and strap you in a chair and give you water drip torture. No, she's going to just ask, how's it going? What are your needs? Let's see if we're a fit. And if not, that's okay. And that's the way a business is usually the most successful, without the pressure and the hype and all that good stuff. I can tell just by talking to you, Divya, that's how you operate. And you're going to know pretty quickly, I know this, whether they need your help or not, and to what degree. Just based on your opening questions and your expertise, which is very obvious to me that it is very there. Do you want me, would it be okay to put up your email address for everybody to see?
Absolutely.
So that's up there. So contact her this way or go to her website, either one. This is the fastest. Would you prefer this as kind of a primary way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, email's great. LinkedIn is great. Happy to hear from you.
All right. Her email address is coach@DivyaLalitha.com. Coach@DivyaLalitha.com. That is much easier to say than Ramachandran. Oh, I almost had a perfect record. I kind of goofed on the.
You've nailed it each time.
I appreciate it. You're so kind. But yes, definitely reach out to her. And leadership. So this is the cornerstone. And look, it is very vitally important. Like I said in the opening of the show, if you get to mastering this one skill set right away, the first one, and put all your most of your energy into it, you can't put all of it into any one thing as an entrepreneur in the beginning, especially, but really focus on leadership. Then you'll have the ability to really branch out much faster than if you don't, because now you can also learn skill sets like picking off and learning, oh, that person's really good at marketing. They think they're good at sales, but actually they're better at marketing. And then there could be the other one that's, they're really good in systematizing things, they think, but you know what? They're better at sales. That's completely different. And so you get these skill sets of really being in tune, especially working with someone like Divya, who will take you down the path of what it takes to have those intangible qualities that will get you to the next stage in your company's life. So highly recommend that. And Divya and I had never met before this show. In fact, 30 minutes before we went live is the first time we met. And so I'm not here just to pitch Divya. I pitch people when I see something that's worthy of everyone's time, effort, and putting forth the commitment to improve themselves in their business. And Divya has those qualities in my eyes. So definitely do that. Reach out to her. Again, DivyaLalitha.com. Did I say it enough, Divya? Do we do it again? DivyaLalitha.com. And don't forget, mindbodybusinessbook.com. Okay, that's enough of that. So, had to get that in there. 10 years, I'm going to put it in there. All right.
Yes, you do that. Yeah.
And so in this huge journey that you've been through so far, it doesn't end. It's an ongoing journey. That's another thing I love about it. I remember what I was going to ask you. If you get to a point, Divya, you know, being an entrepreneur, there's always another goal, another level, something else to strive to. It's like our food; it keeps us alive. Okay, I reached that one goal. What's next? Let's go.
Mhm.
Let's go, 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 go. What if one day this actually was possible? What if you reached that one final goal and there were no more? You could no longer grow anymore. You could no longer learn something new. You could no longer excel more than you are now. And you just hit that ceiling. If that imaginary ceiling were to exist, how would you feel? What would the future look like to you? What would that bring up in your mind?
What an interesting question. It's so hard to picture that ceiling. It is way up there. Um, um, okay, I'm going to tell you my gut response, which
Yeah.
was I would just keep doing the work because I like it.
I love it.
I mean, I don't know if I'd feel that way in that moment, but there's a striving aspect of this work, but there's also just I like it the way it is aspect of this work. And so I think I want to maintain that even as I'm continuing to strive and grow and increase my impact and all of that. I still want to, I'm not setting up my life. My goal is not to live that life once I get there. My goal is to just be living the life alongside the development of the business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough question and it's very hypothetical. It's similar. I've had time to think about it. Obviously, I've asked it several times. I know that at the beginning, I'd be going, okay, settle in. This is kind of cool. But then it wouldn't be very long after that. I'd be really sad because I can't grow. I can't go to another step. I mean, the challenges are done. You've reached the top. I mean, the challenges are going to be repetitive and they're going to be the same ones. You can't grow anymore. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a mind bender question. And it's a different answer by everybody so far. That was the one I couldn't recall earlier. It finally came back to me. Oh, looking at the time, conscious of time. So everyone watching us live, I don't know if you saw it. It kind of snuck in there, but I usually announce this in the beginning, but I'll put it up on the screen for those of you watching live, only for those of you watching live. And if you're not, you can go to themindbodybusinessshow.com. Yep, it's a long URL, themindbodybusinessshow.com. Click on any of those multitude of buttons that say how and where to watch. And all you need to do is register, because what we'll do is send you a notification about the moment we're going live. We won't kill you with a bunch of emails and stuff. We just want to let you know, hey, we're live. Then you can join us live. You won't ever have to be remember it. You won't have to even put it on your calendar. And then you can join us here live. And you can do what it shows on the bottom. And that is, if you stay with us to the end of the live show, you can enter to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of our sponsor, Reach Your Peak LLC. You see them in the upper right-hand corner. If you're watching us live, I do recommend that you come watch us live. We did take a bit of a hiatus. This has been 4 weeks. We've not had a show, Divya. That's never happened ever before. A lot of stuff going on, but we're back. We're back, and we're going to do 2 shows a week for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks now, and then we'll go back to our usual structure. But you will also be privy to a nice gift that Divya has for you as well. And given that we are close to the end of the show, it's going to come really soon. And here, Divya, the thing I love to do on this show, and I do this with every single guest, well, not in the very beginning, but what I used to ask this one question on occasion. I would ask this one question way back when, the 4+ years ago, and I started taking really deep note of the answers, thinking, whew, that was a profound answer. And then I do it again. It's like, hey, that was pretty special. And so I decided to make it the closing question of every show that we do, and because it's that profound. And we're going to get to that as soon as we give away some wonderful gifts. So ladies first, I'll put up on the screen where people can go get this amazing gift. And there it is. If you want to give a quick description, I'll pull it up on the website so people can get a pictorial of it.
Yeah.
And go ahead and call out the URL itself so people can write that down and go to it post haste.
Great. So this is a special guide that you are going to be able to download. The idea here is about, you know what, I think we've got, two different guides. There's one that you're showing here. So I have two different guides, but yeah, no worries.
I see what you're saying.
Let's see,
Say
which one are
hard
we going to
things.
do? All right. Yeah, let's do the say hard things one. Okay. So
Fixed.
a lot of influence and a lot of having to do, leadership is all about influence, and it's getting other people to do things, right? And but doing that in such a way where it feels easy and it feels like you don't have to have these really hard conversations with other people. And so this guide, it gives you a 4-step process. It's based on a concept of emotional clarity, which helps us kind of think through, once we've figured out kind of how we feel about a situation, what are the steps we take before we get to having a conversation that feels easy? So a lot of the time we're dreading a conversation or really frustrated with somebody and not knowing how to say it. This is not just at work. This is everywhere in life, right? And so this whole framework that's I share in this guide really steps you through what are ways to really think systematically about what it is that you need to say. This could be setting boundaries. It could be setting expectations. It's communicating a hard decision. It could also be selling a good idea where you're not so sure and you've got a skeptical customer. So all of these things, the purpose of this guide is to help walk you through that.
All right, and I'm going to make a quick visual modification to make it a little easier for people who are watching to get an idea. So this is the web address you want to go to. It's, instead of www, it's content.divyalalita.com. So you all know that one already. / say hard things, all together, all lowercase, say hard things. So it's content.divyalalita.com / say hard things. And to show you how easy it is, I'm just going to put in my information here. Oops. If I can type. I shouldn't have put so much pressure on myself, huh? And drum roll. And we're going to get the guide. It's going to be emailed to us. So be sure to put in your valid email address. Another very wise thing that Divya did. She didn't just give it to you. She's making sure you put in your correct email address. It's your reward. Very, very smart. I love it. And you're an amazing young woman. And we are going to get to that final question here in just a moment. Thank you for offering this gift. I can't wait till I see mine come in the email. I'm not going to do that right now because we have a show to conclude very soon. So one of the things, the other gift that we want to give away right before, and you don't want to go anywhere after I reveal how you can enter to win, you definitely want to stick around for the final hard-hitting, right between the eyes question. Okay, it's not like that, Divya. Don't worry. It's not that bad. She's probably going, oh my God. So real quick, how do you win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort? You just go to a website. Write this down. Don't go there now because you want to focus on what Divya is about to say with her response. So you want to go to what you see on the screen, ryp.im/vacation. RYP, that stands for Reach Your Peak, just to give it context, .im/vacation. And it is a random draw. And we will be monitoring the entries after the show's over. So wait till the show's over. We'll say goodbye. We'll say goodnight. We'll sign off and then go for it. Then start entering to win. Can't wait to see who it is. I hope it's you, whoever you are watching right now. All right, back to Divya and the wonderful, amazing final question. Oh, this is a good one, Divya. So a couple of things of note about this amazing question. Number one is that there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It doesn't exist. This is not a quiz. It's not a test. It's a question. And actually, the number two thing is the exact opposite is the case. Whatever your answer is, Divya, it is by definition the correct answer because it's yours. It's going to be unique to you. It's amazing. And I also say, let's say it takes you a microsecond, and I know you know what that means, being from the tech background, or it takes you a multitude of seconds. Even in that case, it's 100% perfect because it's your answer that you came up with. So there's no pressure at all. Now that you're going crazy, what the heck is this question going to be? The buildup is pretty cool, huh? So yeah, and the other thing is, I do plan on making a compilation book from the responses of my past guests. So the only reason I let you know that is you may want to have a little bit more than a 2-sentence response if you want to be included in that book. I've had that happen. I'm like, oh, I should have told them. I forgot. But one page would look kind of blank with that. But anyway, again, even if it is 1 or 2 sentences, that's fine. It's your answer. It's perfect. With all that wonderful buildup, are you ready?
I am.
Okay, I had to make sure. All right. All right, here we go. Divya Ramachandran, how do you define success?
That's a great question. So success, I think success is really about how you spend how much your actions align with your values. So you know what matters the most to you, and if you can spend your day or create your business or interact with individuals in such a way where you are always making decisions that align kind of to your core with what matters the most to you, then that's success.
I got to tell you a secret. Well, it's not really a secret as I bring you back here. Wrong one. I'm pressing the wrong button here. And that is, you won't believe this. You may not believe this. I've been doing this show for a little over 5 years. I'd say around 4 of those years I've asked that question to close out the show. Do you know that no 2 people to date have answered it the same way yet? Pretty amazing, I would say. And yours was definitely unique. Align actions with values. No one else has ever said that. And you said align more than once, I noticed. You see, there's very astute listening skills here. So, and that's also, what do you say about that? Real quick, leadership. How important is it to have good listening skills as well as verbal communicating skills? Is it as important to listen intently, or what do you think?
I would say it's like 70-30. Way more important to listen. Maybe I should have said 90-10, but no. You need to be able to communicate clearly, but listening is absolutely one of the most important.
It's like grandma always told us, you have 1 mouth and 2 ears.
That's right.
I love it. Divya, you've been an absolute rock star. I appreciate you for coming on this show. This is the unfortunate time. All good things, they don't have to come to an end, but today they will, because we need to honor not only your time, Divya. You came on with a commitment for an hour and a half hour pre-show and the full hour show, plus everyone watching and listening. We appreciate you all for coming on and watching and listening to the amazing Divya Ramachandran. She is amazing, and she can be there to help you. Don't forget, go to her website. It's on the screen right now. It's called DivyaLalitha.com. Set up that call. Get to know her. You can tell she's really easygoing. Coach at DivyaLalitha.com. Something tells me, though, she will bring out the toughness when it's time to give you that accountability that you need to grow as a leader. And that's because she knows what it takes to be a leader. And she said it many times on the show. It's all about holding your people accountable. Do you think she might do that with you? You'll want her to, because what will happen as a result? You'll get the results you're coming for. So that's all it is. So get out there, contact Divya, book a call with her, get to know her, and then let's see where it goes from there. Divya, do you have any last parting words of advice for any new entrepreneurs out there?
I just wanted to say thank you all for being here and for watching. And thank you so much, Brian, for inviting me to be a part of this show. So I really appreciate it. Thanks all. Keep having fun.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. You reminded me. My parting comment is to everyone, please go out there and do just 2 things. And that is, including you, Divya, and that is go out and continue to do everything in your power to crush it in your business. Why? That means you will be scaling and serving more people, helping more people. And number two, this one's the most important one. To a person, please, everyone, be blessed. That is it for us here on the Mind Body Business Show. On behalf of the amazing Divya, I am Brian Kelly, host of this Mind Body Business Show. Until next time, we will see you again, and can't wait for all of you to come back and watch and listen again. So that's it for us. So long. Good night. And we'll see you again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.